Hello, my name is Brian Bishop, USAFA class of 1983, and I am privileged to serve as the chairman of the Association of Graduates Board of Directors. The Association of Graduates and the Air Force Academy Foundation are entering a new era of unity as we support USAFA, serve our graduates, and preserve our heritage. Because of membership generosity during previous years, we are fortunate to offer lifetime membership in our association at no cost to the graduates. We are also able to provide an appropriate forum to address graduate perspectives and ideas. As such, we will continue to foster the supportive relationship between USAFA and the Air Force and the Space Force, while also fostering supportive relationships with other organizations dedicated to advancing the Academy's mission. Each of us have had a different experience during our time at USAFA, and yet we all embrace a common thread through the USAFA mission of developing leaders of character for our air and space forces. This is what unites us throughout the long blue line. Our common ground, our shared values, our love for our country, and our passion for the profession of arms plays a vital role in supporting our nation's security and preparing cadets to defend our freedoms. On behalf of the Association of Graduates Board of Directors, I invite you all to become active members of our association. Today, our team will highlight some of the new and improved opportunities in which you can engage and create impact in our mission. Thank you very much for your kind support.
Welcome and thanks for joining us. My name is Mark Hille. I'm a member of the class of 1997, and I serve as the CEO of our Association of Graduates and the Air Force Academy Foundation. We're delighted to have you with us today for what we call our Stakeholders Update. It's essentially our annual report here from Doolittle Hall for all of you on our three-part mission of supporting our academy, serving our graduates far and wide, and preserving the heritage of this institution and the growing heritage of the Long Blue Line. Before we get started with our update today, I want to say a word of thanks to our outgoing CEO, Lieutenant General Retired Mike Gould, class of 1976. General Gould was our CEO here, first for the foundation, then for the association for a period of 6 years, and did marvelous work and guided this organization towards very successful outcomes. That came after 43 years in uniform, 38 years on active duty in his time as a cadet and at the prep school. A marvelous life of service to our nation and to this institution, and we just want to publicly thank him for that. What he's turned over is an organization that's in really good shape, and we have reason for optimism, both because of our great team here as well because of our enduring and important mission. I'm joined today by two of my colleagues, Naviere Walkewicz, class of 99, our Senior Vice President of Alumni Affairs.
Hello.
And Kelly Banet, our Senior Vice President of Development. And the three of us together are going to cover some ground on our mission and update on alumni relations activities, parent relations, as well as our fundraising activities of the last year. But in particular, Naviere, I think you're going to touch on some of the outcomes from the survey 18 months ago and our work towards being an organization that's not only present in the lives of our graduates, but also present and relevant, especially at some key moments in an individual's life, both on active duty and after. And that's critical for us. And then Kelly, I know you're going to provide us an update on the campaign and where we find ourselves with really less than a year to go in the campaign, some of the key contributions of donors across the board that have made a big impact on our Air Force Academy. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Naviere.
Okay.
And if you would please take us through a quick update on your work, your team, and things that graduates should know about what's going on here in Doolittle Hall.
I'm pleased to. Thanks for the introduction and opportunity. And if I may, I just want to start by saying thank you for taking the time to listen and be part of this, because your voice matters. You are part of our Long Blue Line. And I'd like to just introduce myself a little bit more, because I think it really aligns with many of you. So I am a graduate of the class of 1999, the best class ever, by the way. Okay, in my opinion. But I also come from a Long Blue Line family. So we're 3 generations now. My son Arden's in the class of 27. And what that means is the Academy has always been dear to my heart, but maybe not always near to my heart. And let me tell you more. So before I became the Senior Vice President of Alumni Relations in this role for the past 18 months, rewind the tape, even 2 years ago, the Association of Graduates and the foundation wasn't really even in my purview. I had served 7 years active duty. And then I went into the private sector as a reservist and then, working out there in the community. And the first time I thought about our association was at our 20-year reunion, Mark. I was somehow on my reunion committee. You know how that happens. You get volunteered on my reunion committee. And, that was the first time I really learned about the team in Doolittle and what they were doing. And so when I think about our graduate community, when I think about you and those who are listening to this, there are things that really came out of what Mark talked about, that survey that we did. And I'd like to start by sharing, where we came into this year, and then I'll cover the last 12 months. So I hope you will understand that me being in this seat is really from the vantage point of understanding some of the challenges you experienced, both being on active duty. I did retire from the reserve force, so I have, also that side of the house. So I'm very thoughtful and cognizant of some of the challenges and experiences you've had as well. But when we came into the year, we had done our survey in 22. We came in with 59% membership when we started membership for all graduates. And in 2022, we turned on that dial that said, when you graduated from the Academy, you were in. You just had to opt in. You have to opt in for your membership. So I'm pleased to say in 2023, when we started this year, we are at 70% membership. So where we saw a stagnant alumni association for many, many years, we saw a bump up. And so we're continuing to grow, and I'll tell you more about why that's important. Mark also talked about the graduate survey. It wasn't a membership survey. It was an all Air Force Academy graduate survey. And I think 3 things really came out of that have driven my team and I for the last 12 months. And I think I will weave the things that we're doing in the framework of what you told us you'd like to see or what you need. So the first one was, our graduates, we value the role that the Academy played in our lives, and we want to help cadets and other graduates. That was like a key thing that came out of the survey. Our grads also want to know why they should be members of their association. That came out loud and clear across 1,300 pages of comments. We care about our Academy, but why should we be members? And then another thing that kind of a theme that came up was grads need us to show up earlier and in those moments that matter, just like Mark talked about. So I think I'll start with why, the why. It's kind of a chicken and egg situation. When you think about it, we exist to serve our graduates, and we need our graduates to exist, right? When we are doing it right, it's because your voice is included. So being a member of your association means that your voice and perspective is at the table. And that translates into voting rights. When we have our board directors that are elected every 2 years, you have an opportunity to run or vote for those that you want to represent your perspectives and your experiences. And I think that's really key. That's probably one of the biggest reasons why being a member is so important, because you literally have a say in how we, as an association and foundation, support you. Another thing about being a member, it means that you're not alone. I started thinking about this last night, Mark, and Kelly, this will be a little bit of a learning for you. When we go through survival training, we have this, we're out in the woods, and, they always say, don't be the lone wolf. I mean, you can probably figure out what that means. You don't want to be that person, that lone wolf. But I think somewhere along the way, we get really good at figuring out how to adapt on our own, right? We have to get things done quickly. And so what that has created over the years, I think, is this mentality of, we can figure it out all by ourselves. And I think a lot of Air Force Academy graduates do that. It serves us well at times, but it doesn't have to be that way. And I think being a member of your association, it means that you're not alone, and we're able to maximize your efforts. So when you say you want to help cadets and graduates, we can help you do that. For example, we've had cadets that go out across the country, and we've been able to go to our graduate community and say, can you house these cadets? Can they stay with you? And that's through the association, right? Understanding where our grads are, understanding where our cadets are going. And when you're a member, we can reach out and say, hey, do you have the ability to support these cadets? Another great example of how we show up so you don't have to be a lone ranger or a lone wolf is, we have graduates that don't commission, sometimes for various reasons. And we were able to help a graduate who was unable to commission for medical reasons find a job. We have many stories like that. And being a member of your association helps you with those connections. Being a member, and this is probably the big one, really helps you be connected. There are so many ways that our association and foundation are out there. And so you'll see us, we have almost 60 chapters. Those are our geographic-based groups around the globe. That includes Alaska, Germany, Hawaii. So you have an opportunity to connect with other grads in your area. You might not even know someone you're working with is a grad in your area. We had a social last year, Mark. You were out there in the Bay Area. Mm-hmm. And we had a couple grads that, yes, we had, and in fact, we had a really strong young alumni turnout to that. Mm-hmm. But what we found was we had grads that worked in the same company that didn't even know it. And then they were able to actually, work together and gather even outside of that. So I think there are opportunities to really connect in those ways. When we talk about being connected, we have the tools to help you connect better. There are so many tools out there today, so many social media channels, and frankly, not everyone's on the same one. But we offer a channel that graduates and cadets and permanent party can get into so that you can have a direct link and find someone within seconds. You don't have to set a parameter to find something through one of those channels and hope that they're on there. If you go into our Long Blue Line portal, which was stood up this year and really shared, you're able to have coffee with someone. If you're going to show up there at 6 p.m. tonight, you can actually see who's in your area. A great story about the Long Blue Line portal was, we actually had a cadet. So our cadets can see graduates in the portal. Grads can't see all cadets until they graduate, then they turn on graduate status. But we were able to have a cadet reach out to a graduate that's in an industry that they're interested in, just to ask questions. That kind of informal mentoring is happening, and we need our graduates as members to do that, right? That way you're able to be there at a moment's notice. And I think finally, in the Long Blue Line portal, and I really want to foot stomp that because I think sometimes, people are saying, well, it's a new thing I have to sign on for. It's a new, another thing. It's not meant to be the only thing, but I think if more graduates are in there, they're able to actually do more things that they've been asking us for. Grads can post jobs and hire other grads. That's been an ask for a while. You can actually search jobs from graduates or find grads or in a company that you're interviewing with. That's pretty powerful. So that's a really exciting thing that we rolled out this year. And we have a goal of 10,000 users by the end of 2024. We're sitting at 6,400. So I bet you might be one of the next ones to help us get to 10,000. I think the last thing that I will touch on is being a member answers what the main desire we heard from in that survey, which was helping cadets and graduates. If you're a member, you're going to be informed of all those ways that help is needed. You're going to know what's happening at the academy so you can articulate to your networks and your communities the people that can help do that, right? So it could be you, but it could also be people you know. And when we start to do that together, we're really maximizing, I think, the power of the Long Blue Line. And so I'll go back to the chicken and the egg. We exist to serve our graduates and the academy and preserve our heritage, but we need our graduates to do that right. The Long Blue Line portal is really the place, the hub that you can go to. It doesn't need to be that all being placed, but it is a place where you can go to meet your needs. And so I think what's really cool about the Long Blue Line portal is it's a pass-through through LinkedIn. So you can actually log in just like you would LinkedIn, but the difference is on the other side, it's going to be your fellow brothers and sisters that graduate from the academy or the soon-to-be ones at Will that are graduating soon. So I think that's the differentiator. I also wanted to go back to that last point that we learned from the survey. Grads told us that they need us to show up earlier and in moments that matter. So again, over the past 12 months, we've really tried to focus our efforts on the quality of what we're doing to meet the needs, not the quantity. So I'll mention 3 things that I think are really important to that. The first one is last year, we did hire a young alumni program manager. Over the course of the year, we have really honed into what that support looks like. That program manager over young alumni now has young alumni ambassadors at every Air Force base. We literally have a tie-in to the communities that our graduates are at to help our young alumni feel really connected. We learned from the survey that, sometimes those critical years after graduation are the ones where they need us most. That's pretty powerful. So that's been one big thing. We're also working on a first assignment program. So on top of having those young alumni at those bases, we will have regular communications and touch points just to make sure our young alumni are getting what they need. That's really important. And we've leveraged the portal quite a bit for that. In fact, our young alumni have been some of the earliest adopters to jump into the portal. So if you're looking for ways in your communities to seek other graduates, especially those who've, I think probably post 2000 would be a good kind of cutoff where we'd say that area is, you can find them in the portal. We've also, in thinking about showing up in moments that matter, our graduates are doing amazing things. We have highlighted our graduates' achievements over the years. In 2001, we stood up our Distinguished Graduate Award program. We have highlighted the lifetime achievement of some amazing graduates. I mean, those that we aspire to even, it's just an honor to be in the room with them. And then in 2015, we introduced our Young Alumni Excellence Award. And so we've been able to highlight award winners for those graduates up to 15 years post-graduation. For a long time, we had graduates kind of in that middle range doing amazing things, not quite lifetime achievement, that we haven't recognized. And I think it's wonderful that our board of directors has really helped us. And remember, board of directors are those you vote in to help us, how we move forward. But they recognize the fact that we had a gapped area. And so this year, we launched our Leadership Achievement Award. And that's for graduates 16 to 39 years post-graduation. And it's an opportunity for those graduates to be recognized. And so I think we're getting better. I'm so pleased that our board of directors is thinking about our graduate community in that way. And it's such an honor to be able to stand up that award. And so just so you know, nominations are still open till the end of this month, February 29th. It's a leap year, so you got an extra day. Go ahead and get those nominations in for us, all right? It's really important that we recognize our brothers and sisters that are doing amazing things. And the last thing that I'll say, I think, in showing up at moments that matter, it's not always, the pretty, bright, shiny moments, but sometimes the most important moments are the ones that are dark for our graduates. And so when we have grads that pass, we really never had a dedicated resource to support their families, their loved ones. And so this was an area we recognized we had an opportunity to do better. We needed to do better, frankly. And so we actually have a full-time next of kin support specialist that leads and supports our Gone But Not Forgotten efforts. We have some amazing things that are going to happen with Gone But Not Forgotten in the next year or so. But the most important thing is you can rest assured that when you pass, your family will be able to be supported. We have one belly button they'll go to. They'll have connection point at a year point. There'll be care call at a year point. There'll be for surviving spouse benefits. We actually have membership benefits to continue to support them beyond the year. I think it's just really important to know that your association, your AOG, being a member is life, right? It's lifetime. And then even when you pass, we still, your life and your legacy are with us. So I think those are the things that really talk to what we've been working on for the past year. Well, as you know, I'm very passionate about what we're doing in alumni relations, and I could go on for a while, but I'd be remiss if we didn't go on to the other side, the other half of our organization, just as important, doing amazing things, our development team. And so my colleague here, Kelly Banet, is going to share some of the updates from that side of the house. Kelly?
Great. Thank you, Naviere. My name again is Kelly Banet, and I have the pleasure of serving as our Senior Vice President for Development for the AOG and Foundation. So 2024 is the final year of our Defining Our Future campaign, a effort that began in 2018. And it's hard to believe this is the 7th year of what has been a tremendous effort from our staff and from the Long Blue Line to raise private philanthropic support to support the Academy. And as a key part of the campaign, not only to raise private dollars, but to really build a culture of philanthropy amongst our graduates, our parents, and our friends of the Academy. And, I think we often get the question, why does a government funded institution require private support? Private support is really what's making the difference between kind of good enough at the Academy and excellence in all we do. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the progress we've made in the last 7 years and some of the priorities that we have in this final effort. So the impact of the Defining Our Future campaign can be seen all over the Academy right now. Some of the capital projects that have taken legs as a result of this effort include the new Madeira Cyber Innovation Center, the modernization of the east side of Falcon Stadium. You'll still see a crane at the North Gate, which there's 2 buildings going there, not only the new Hotel Polaris, but the new Hosmer Visitor Center. All of these capital projects have been a result of the generous support of the Long Blue Line over the last 7 years. In addition, private philanthropic support has been critical to programmatic aspects of the Academy experience. Anything from supporting cadets clubs to standing up the Institute for Future Conflict to NCLS and even additional evening tutors at the Academic Success Center. All of these pieces come together to elevate the cadet experience from good to great, and something that we're very grateful for the graduate, friend, and parent community for supporting over the last number of years. I'd be remiss if I didn't take the opportunity to recognize the number of class projects that have had an impact at the Academy over the course of this campaign. Anything from the new air garden on the Terrazzo that was supported by a wide number of classes, the new HH-3 helicopter near the B-52 by the North Gate, the new outdoor leadership complex that's near the cadet area, the Air Warrior Combat Memorial, which is also near the HH-3 helicopter near the North Gate, and our most recently completed class project, the Forevermore Overlook, just above the chapel, which provides an area for reflection and relaxation for cadets. This year, we continue to raise funds for the remaining top campaign priorities, namely the renovation and ongoing construction on the east side of Falcon Stadium, the Institute for Future Conflict, as well as the ongoing construction at the North Gate for the Hosmer Visitor Center, as well as the new Hotel Polaris. But what will really be front and center here in the final year of the campaign is participation. While we've always had a fundraising goal as part of this campaign, what we really want to establish is a long-term culture of philanthropy, and that requires participation from all in the Long Blue Line. And as we enter the final year, we invite our graduates, parents, and friends to participate and engage with the Academy. There are a number of ways to do so. You can join the Sabre Society. You can attend an AOG or Foundation tailgate. Attend a local chapter event. Naviere referenced the number of chapters we have across the country. There's bound to be one near you. Participation signals to the current cadet wing that the Long Blue Line supports them and also values the heritage and history of the institution. With all of this activity, Naviere covered a wide range of work that the AOG and Foundation is doing, but you might ask yourself, can I really make a difference? Is my gift or my participation really making an impact? And I think the answer is yes. In October, we launched a new and revamped Sabre Society membership, one with additional giving levels, as well as a wide range of new benefits. I think the most notable change in the Sabre Society is that we added a young alumni membership level, and that begins at $500 a year. And the Sabre Society is critical to the support that we provide for the Air Force Academy. The Sabre Society provides unrestricted funds that provides immediate support to the Academy, including the superintendent's priorities. While the Sabre Society will continue to be the cornerstone of our annual giving activity, this year and this last year of the campaign, we're also turning our focus to class identity and class affinity. As Naviere and Mark can speak to, class affinity at the Academy is an important part of our culture. And our classes, as I mentioned previously, have a long history of supporting the Academy with class projects. This year, you'll see the class affinity that surfaced during a typical reunion cycle will be woven into our communications, whether you're in a reunion year or not. I encourage you to read the March issue of Checkpoints, where we'll talk more about how you'll see class affinity be part of our development and annual giving work in the coming years. And don't miss the class notes, where you'll have an opportunity to see how your class's participation stack up against your peers.
Well, I think I started today. I brought a gold pen. I don't know if Mark brought a gray.
Silver.
I stand corrected. Silver.
Yes. Well, as I conclude here, I extend a personal invitation for you to participate in this final year of the Defining Our Future campaign. Join the Sabre Society. Encourage your classmates to make a gift to your class project. Join us for a Founders Day event. Volunteer to support your local chapter. The next generation of the Long Blue Line is counting on your support.
Well, it really got to me because my son's part of that generation. So, it's awesome. Well, here we are. This is one of my favorite parts of our annual meeting because I think it's a great opportunity for us to address some of the questions that we see on a regular basis and also some of the ones, that you've shared with us. And so, Mark, if it's okay, I'll start with you.
Great.
All right. Some of our graduates have asked us on a regular basis, what are the priorities of the Academy? How would you answer that? What's your sense of it?
Way to start with a simple question. I'll answer it the way that I often do when I've been out and about with chapters, and often give a little bit of a stump speech on what's going on at the Academy as well as what is happening at our association and foundation. And I try my best. I do a poor job of standing in for the superintendent. I'm not as smart or as good looking, but I do try to represent what the superintendent has been saying as the Academy's priorities. And they've been remarkably consistent, not only over General Clark's term here, but I think going back many years. Mm-hmm. And I think as we see a transition here coming up with our next superintendent yet to be named, that we will probably see a fairly consistent view of what the Academy's priorities are. But generally, our Academy has talked about the following three priorities for the institution. And the first goes back to the founding days, that our prime directive, as it's often been said, is developing leaders of character for the Air Force and the Space Force now. But we also say for the nation in addition. And that's because we know that all of us at some point take off the uniform and have a second or a third career in service, continued service to the nation, to our communities, to our families. It's a life of service that we have. And so the Academy's prime directive is really developing young leaders of character. And I think that hasn't changed. The second priority is preparing our cadets for future conflict. And this is something that if you even spend a little bit of time perusing the headlines on a daily basis, we're aware that the world is heating up in some ways, and there's a real likelihood that this generation of cadets will be serving in harm's way in the years to come, and the nature of that conflict is going to be considerably different than the nature of the conflict of the global war on terror and years prior. Great power competition or strategic competition are ways in which it's been addressed recently. And we're really proud at the Association and Foundation to be supporting the Institute for Future Conflict, and several of our directors have been involved from the very beginning in the formulation of the Institute, and are proud of all the work that's gone on there. General Schwedo and his team are really incredible. And doing some things to stimulate the muscles and the nerve endings of our young people here to think about and be prepared for a conflict that we maybe haven't completely imagined yet. The third priority is supporting and enhancing a culture of dignity and respect at the Air Force Academy. And this last year has been a difficult year in that regard, as we saw the results of the sexual harassment and violence survey that came out for all three academies. For the Air Force Academy, the report indicated that we have problems. We still have problems. After decades of working on this issue, we haven't licked it yet. And the campaign Let's Be Clear is something that the Academy has put forward as a way to reset culture. And I think we've covered some of that in checkpoints recently, and we'll continue to provide an opportunity for the Academy to provide updates to our graduates and parents on that in checkpoints. But those are the three priorities that, again, have been remarkably consistent. I think they reference what is the core function of our institution, being not only an undergraduate education where we all get a bachelor's of science degree in something, bachelor's of science in history, no less, but that we are ready to lead and serve in the Air Force and Space Force after graduating and throwing our caps up in the air. Okay, so
excellent.
That question makes me think about kind of a follow-on here, Kelly, and I know that you've been working a lot with the IFC, the Institute for Future Conflict, and in particular, your team has been out and about working with individual contributors, and we've done some road shows, so to speak. I think, Naviere, we did an extensive road show in North Texas with the chapter there. Grateful for that group's attentiveness to the priorities of the Academy. But could you say a little bit more about what you see going on at the IFC and why you think graduates are increasingly supportive of that?
Absolutely. So I think, one of the questions we get, and I think Mark addressed this, is how are we preparing cadets for warfare? And I think Mark hit on the nail on the head in saying that the next conflict for our country is not going to look the same as the past. And so I think one of the things that we see with the IFC is engagement with all mission elements at the Academy. It has very much been born in the DF mission, but they're beginning to be involved with athletics, with the commandant. And I think the way we see it, and our team talks about it in the field, is that this preparation and the work of the IFC is permeating all areas and all experiences at the Academy, because preparing cadets for future warfare, again, to Mark's point, is one of the top 3 priorities of the Academy. And so the IFC not only is supporting programming, we are bringing in experts, we are bringing fellows in and faculty that can speak to their experience in these types of situations. And we have experts on China, we have experts on AI. We are bringing in those expertise to enhance the educational experience for our cadets. And the Institute for Future Conflict, again, I almost think of it as a programmatic overlay to the curriculum at the Academy that is really preparing our cadets for what lies down the road.
We've used the word relevant for our own programs several times, I think, in this update. And that word relevant seems to be connected to what the IFC is doing at the Academy. So we're producing leaders of character, but for what? And the for what is to be on watch when that future conflict emerges. And I think the group has said we have a perfect record in terms of predicting future conflicts. We're 0 and 1,000.
Yes.
We always miss.
Yes.
But and so we know we're probably not going to get it perfectly right in terms of predicting that next conflict. So it really is about turning on some of these capabilities of creative thought and imagining a possibility in a future. In fact, I heard that the group is doing an essay contest, a fiction and a nonfiction version, to try and get the cadet wing thinking in different ways about what could in some military context, but also social, cultural, economic context, could these future conflicts emerge? And that's the kind of good work that's going on in that organization.
And I think, the IFC is providing, experiential opportunities for cadets in the multi-domain lab, in Cyber City. Their work is supporting preparation that will prepare them to be great officers in the Air Force and Space Force.
I think it's incredible. I mean, I think back to our time at the Academy, Mark, and many of the things that I saw in active duty were much later in my career than what the cadets are seeing here in the learning lab. So,
yes.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Maybe shifting gears a little bit to some of the work that the AOG and Foundation are doing. Naviere, I have a question for you.
Okay.
I've heard that USAFA is developing a new standalone publications for obituaries. Is that indeed the case?
This is actually really exciting because I think as we've looked at checkpoints, which is amazing, and many of you help us make sure that we are articulating and sharing those stories of our grads, we have just found that a smaller snippet is just really not doing the justice of what some of our graduates who've passed have done and their stories. And so part of our resourcing around this whole Gone But Not Forgotten program with our next of kin support specialist, having this separate publication that will launch in 2025 will really be an opportunity to highlight and to really celebrate the legacies and lives of those graduates that pass in a really beautiful way. And so for 2024, we're going to continue to showcase all of those in checkpoints. And in 2025, when we roll out our first publication, we will make sure that we still highlight those as well. So we just really want to make sure we're honoring our graduates in the way that they should be. And that's part of our mission. So we're really excited for that. And I think what makes me feel really good about this particular program is I spoke to our next of kin support specialist, and she was sharing that, she had a spouse call in and she didn't know where to begin. And Terry Davis is our next of kin support specialist. She said, just begin with me. I'll help you. I'll take care of it. And so she helped walk her through the process, and there's going to be a very beautiful written story in Gone But Not Forgotten.
This is timely too, I think, and it makes sense why we've arrived at this new chapter in some ways, because the sad reality, although it's just the reality, that our graduate community is reaching that point where our founding classes and then subsequent classes after we're beginning to lose those individuals. And we're not yet at steady state as a graduate community where we are losing annually as many as we are commissioning, but that we're not many years away from that. And so it's time for us to adapt to this new reality. And I think ultimately it's going to serve us in some important ways as we expand our services in next of kin.
Absolutely. And I think what makes me also proud about that is it's not just the founding classes, but even when we lose grads at times when it's not expected, or when we lose them to, various tragedies. And so we're able to network with their families and their surviving spouses in ways that we hadn't before. And I think that's been really, really powerful. So, well, Mark, I have one for you, and it comes from the graduate community. We've seen sometimes in our commentary, and it's about the Academy going woke. Grads want to, we've heard grads share that they think the Academy's gone woke, and will the association take a position?
Well, thanks for giving me the easy question.
That's my job. All the softballs.
So in responding to that, I think there's several aspects that I think about here. First, defining terms of what woke is or means to individuals, because there is a breadth of understanding of what somebody might mean by that. And when folks call and we talk about that's usually the first part of the conversation is let's describe in real terms some of the programming concerns you have, some of the headlines that an individual might have seen. And oftentimes we have a chance to talk it through and have a better understanding of what is or what is not going on. And as I covered earlier in the Q&A, the priorities of the Academy seem pretty clear-cut and directed at preparing our future officers for that future fight. And I'm reminded of the speech that General Douglas MacArthur gave to West Point. I think it might have been in 1966 when he addressed the cadets during the Thayer Award reception, and said, in effect, our job here at West Point, and you could extend this to the Air Force Academy and should, is to win our nation's wars. Everything else, every other consideration is secondary. And I hear nothing but that same sentiment from the leadership of this institution. And I think that's a place that we can all agree. The second part of that question really is, what are we going to do about some of these concerns? And I'll tell you that the door is always open. My email is on probably I read it too often, in fact, but my email is there, and my phone is always on as well. And I know that we all take phone calls, emails. The door is open for conversation with graduates, parents, and friends of the institution, but in particular graduates, I think, on this issue. And we're eager to hear from people and ready to have a conversation about this. That doesn't necessarily mean that the organization, the association, or the foundation takes a public position. In fact, I think our bylaws, both of the association and the foundation, prohibit us from doing that. And our mission says it very clearly. We're here to support the Academy, serve our graduates, and preserve our heritage. And in supporting the Academy, we don't take public positions on those policy questions. But we do share information actively with the Academy leadership very directly as well. One thing that we've done recently, hearing the desire for greater engagement on these issues, we've expanded our letters to the editor section, and we'll continue to consider ways in which we can have graduate perspective on whether it's this issue or many others, that we could lift those up and present those, provide a platform for those to our graduate community who want to share their perspective on important issues of our day. So that's how I would respond to that. But I guess I'd close with an invitation that if anybody wants to talk about issues that concern them, whether it's this one or several others, engage with us. Please connect with us. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation and go from there.
Thank you.
Excellent. So, Naviere, you touched a little bit on this during your remarks earlier, but as a member of the AOG, how could I access career transition services and the help of the AOG?
Oh, that's a great question. And I'm surprised I didn't mention it earlier in all of the things that we're doing. One of the ways that a graduate can reach out to us is, one, being a member, just reach out and say, I'm looking for help. We have our Long Blue Line portal, and there is a direct opportunity to message us there. But we have some career services that I think maybe grads don't know about. One of the ways that we do that is we partner with our other service academy, sister service academies, and every quarter we're around the country doing a service academy career conference. And this is one way that wonderful employers are seeking the expertise of service academy grads. And so we just had one in Atlanta for the first time here in February, and we're trying to meet our grads where they're at. So I think that's one way. Another thing that we're doing is we're having Long Blue Line socials, and these are networking events that have really been geared toward kind of that career transition conversation. And so it's a very organic way for grads to get together and meet other grads that are either in industries that they want to get into or can make those connections for those jobs. And then internally, if you go to our alumni relations page via the website, we have a career center that actually allows you to see the different services we offer. We offer resume writing. We offer one-on-one conversations just to understand what your needs are and how we might connect you to someone in the graduate community. So there are really several ways, and it's not a one size fits all. It really is a center of career transition support that starts from being a member in your association and the alumni relations team.
All right, so I think I've got the last question here. I'm going to ask the last question, and then I'll close this out when we're done. So I've been getting some calls, Naviere, I'm sure you have, Kelly maybe as well, and this is really a question for both of you about the new Hotel Polaris and the Visitor Center, the Hosmer Visitor Center across the street. Could you share, Kelly, you talked a little bit about the fact that we're involved heavily in raising support for both of those projects. But could you say a little bit about those that might be planning a future reunion, or maybe some parents who are thinking in 2025 they'd like to stay in the hotel for graduation, for example? What you know about the timeline of those two projects, and what you would say about interested potential patrons.
So Mark, great question. Perhaps I'll start with a bit of a project update on both the Hosmer Visitor Center and Hotel Polaris, and then Naviere, you can answer the questions about how graduates and parents can engage with the project. So both projects are moving along at a good clip. We anticipate that Hotel Polaris will be complete and open to guests at the end of 2024, so likely November, December of this year. So that's great news.
Very exciting.
Particularly for our class of 2025 graduates, as well as our fall 2025 reunions. And then second, the Hosmer Visitor Center is in the process of designing the interior displays for the Visitor Center, which will outline the journey of a cadet from the time of appointment all the way through graduation. And that process will take a bit longer, and we anticipate that the Visitor Center will be fully open to the public in December 2025.
No, that's a perfect update. And I think it ties really well. We have gotten a lot of questions about, can we do our reunions there? What does that look like? And I think one of the wonderful things about Hotel Polaris and that team is they want to do all of that with our graduate community, with our parents and families that come back for graduations. They prioritize some of those key moments that our graduates experience as part of kind of their hotel programming. So in 2025, we can expect that many of our reunions will be able to be in the hotel. It will have a beautiful event center type feel where they can actually do more gatherings together in the hotel and really overlook the place where it all started for us. So Hotel Polaris will be a wonderful connection point to our alumni center, Doolittle Hall, and Wecker Hall, where we'll all be working. So I think it really is kind of the connection point of all the things that are supporting our academy and our graduate community together.
Excellent.
Something that our constituents may not all know, some know, is that the hotel, once the debt for the hotel is retired, the association and foundation will be the owners of the hotel. And that's made possible by, I think, first the vision of the association and foundation boards that supported this financial model that was structured. And then we've had several very important contributions over the last 6 months, and we'll continue to work on those to sponsor portions of the hotel, which retires that debt much sooner. And the net result is that our association and foundation will at some point have a marvelous asset, which will not only continue to serve the academy and our communities, but will be a driver of a lot of revenue, which we intend would be put back into our mission of supporting the academy and helping our graduate community engage with itself. So that's an exciting development for us. And you mentioned, last thing before I wrap us up here, you mentioned Wecker Hall. And I don't know that we talked about that, but
we did
thanks
not.
to generous contributions from Bill and Mary Lynn Wecker, class of 63, and Dave and Jean Yost, Dave's class of 69, we will have now a new building to the west of Doolittle Hall, probably complete around March or April of 25, that will house the staffs of the association and foundation, our combined team, and allow us. We've been separate since I think since 2007, roughly. We just haven't been able to all pack ourselves into Doolittle Hall. And it allows us not only to be together in a dedicated office space, but in the future then come back to Doolittle Hall and do much needed renovation after 30 years and turn this into the events and heritage center that it was originally intended to be. It was really not built to be an office space or a studio, in which we are. We'll have a dedicated studio in the new building as well. So that's exciting and something that we're proud of. Okay, well, thank you both for taking time to help me with the update, and to everybody out there, thanks for joining us. We hope that this was informative, an opportunity to hear a little bit about what we're doing at the Association and Foundation, and we offer our time. If you ever want to reach out, please give us a call, and be happy to chat about anything on your mind. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.